Alright, hello, and welcome back to Final Fantasy V, Famicom Original. And this music, if I'm not mistaken, is the same music track that plays out in the village of Toul at the very start of the, well, not at the very start of the game, but the first town you can visit in the game. Yeah, it is. So I remember commenting on that first or second video about how the music here reminds me of the Super Nintendo version of SimCity, one of the launch titles for the SNES, along with Super Mario World and a handful of others. At least I think SimCity was. It was one of the first. If it wasn't one of the launch titles, it was one of the ones that came out shortly afterwards, at some point in the summer, fall of 1991. Cure 2, we already we already have all these two, I'm guessing. Well, except for that one, which I probably will never use, just get it for the frick of doing so, but yeah. Safe? What is that, like Step Guard in Dragon Quest games? Protects you from barriers like swamps or electrified floors? I don't recall there ever being too many of those in Final Fantasy games. Of course, there's probably a lot that I'm just not thinking of right offhand. I mean, it's not like I have a photographic memory of every incident in every game in the series. Yeah. Alright, so... now... That's what all there is to do in this town right now, I think. I mean, you could talk to the townspeople for some information, I guess, which you'd probably want to do on a first playthrough, not knowing where you're going and all that. But again, as for this, yeah. Can get in there now thanks to the airship, but there's absolutely nothing you can really do there until much later in the game. A lot of that going around lately. The pyramid in the desert, the potential of something hidden behind that waterfall up north, and now this. Yeah. A lot of that something to remember for later stuff going on here. Like this. How in the heck are you supposed to get into that, since you can't land your airship on anything but flat, grassy plains? Yeah. Which, again, makes logical, physical sense, and that's all fine and well, but like I've said in 100, well, maybe not 100, but a dozen other videos already, who the frick are the developers of these games to finally decide to make physical and logical sense when you can't even step into water? Water's an invisible barrier, yet lava, just one hit point of damage per step. Yeah. Now all of a sudden they're worried about logic and physics? Really? Hypocrites? Dare I use that word? Seriously, since when do you care about physics? Let me land my airship on top of a tree. If I can walk through lava while suffering only one hit point of damage per step, damn it, I can sure as hell land my airship on top of a tree. Screw you. Yeah. Anyways, rants on that kind of thing aside for the 100th time in these videos. Original point being, obviously this is yet another one of those. Remember this for later, in the words of YouTuber H.C. Bailey. Remember this for later, viewers. So that's 4 now. Somewhere around here. Where is that? Yeah. And this. I'm sure this little peninsula is shaped like a bat or a dragon hanging upside down. You know, if you turn it around the other way. Yeah. I'm sure this is never going to have any relevance to the plot or story of the game at any point. Ever. We'll go through the entire game never seeing this. Uh-huh. Right. And I'm D. Snyder. Not. Again, something to remember for later. Yeah. Seems to be an awful lot of that going around these days. Anyways, that said, now, speaking of something for later, I guess it's time to get on with this and get moving towards that. Actually start making progress here. Now that you have the airship, you can explore the world as I've been doing. But until you go to a very specific pixel sprite correct location, you ain't going to advance the story one bit. You'll get a lot of dialogue, some useful perhaps, a lot of useless dialogue. You can maybe fight that battle with Rama, I think it was, like I pointed out earlier. Do a lot of optional exploration, but as far as continuing the story along, no. The only thing that's, at this point, the only thing that's going to do that is flying over this place with the airship. How you're supposed to figure that out on a first playthrough with no internet, no guides, no nothing is beyond me. I guess they're just expecting you to just, which was the thing in a lot of these old games. You were just expected to waste hours on end exploring every pixel of the screen, placing bombs everywhere, burning every bush in the first Zelda game, which was kind of okay in those days as we had a lot more free time back then, at least I did. But nowadays, if a game like this came out, I wouldn't have the patience for it. Like, okay, what the hell? That's why I have absolutely no problem when I hear people say that they had to look it up. Again, if a game like this, with this kind of crap came out today, I probably would be right there with you. The only reason I found out about this is because I had a lot more free time and a lot more patience for this kind of thing back then. Of course, when I say back then, in this case, it's 1999 when this game came out on the Sony PlayStation. Its American debut, 7 years late, but anyway, so now that we've seen that, what's this pointing down? Yeah, okay. Again, something to potentially speaking, remember for later. How this peninsula here is so very awkwardly pointing south. At this point in the game, there's absolutely nothing that it's referencing. But there will be by the time the game is over, this thing will be pointing to something useful. Just not yet. Again, for now a fifth time. Something to remember for later. Seems to be a lot of that going around here. Anyways, now that we've seen that city rise into the sky, go back and talk to these two. Again, I guess they're just expecting you to figure, hey, maybe Sid knows something about this since he's the one that helped, since he's the one that restored the airship in the first place. And again, I like when games, let you explore and find things out for yourself, like I've said many times over on both my own videos and on Twitch stream, chat rooms, and other streams. I love when games let you think things out for yourself and find things for yourself and not just tell you, hey, go here, stupid. Well, they don't actually call you stupid, but they might as well. They treat you like you're an idiot, having to explain every little thing there is possibly needed to be explained, never letting you figure anything out on your own. I hate that. But then there's games like this that sometimes take that a little too far. So I don't know, maybe there is someone that actually tells you about this somewhere in one of the towns that you can now explore now that you have the airship, but a lot of these old games, the first Zelda game is a prime example of that. I freaking love that first Zelda game. Like I keep saying, I not only would not be a Zelda fan, but I probably wouldn't be a gamer in general had it not been for that first Zelda game. Coming out I first started playing it in 1988, at a time when so many of the games were linear platformers. Not that there's anything wrong with that kind of gameplay style, but when every game is like that, it gets tedious and annoying. Just when I was about to give up on gaming, someone recommended I try The Legend of Zelda. I do. And now as a result of that, here I am decades later still playing. Yeah. So with as much love and respect as I have for that first Zelda game, nostalgically speaking, to be perfectly fair and honest, if a game like that came out today, there's no way I'd have the patience for that. Having to bomb every pixel location, burn every bush, and then you get to the second quest and those invisible doors and dungeons in some cases. There's no way I'd have the time or patience for that kind of thing today. The difference between then and now, I guess. So again, that's why I don't mind in the slightest when I hear people say they had to look it up. I mean, the old-time gamer in me would say, yeah. But being perfectly honest, I probably would have been right there with you if I hadn't already played the game before. And again, this game is also in that category. How in the heck would you know that you're supposed to fly your airship over where that town was? I mean, I guess they're banking on your curiosity. Hey, we never really did explore this area. We triggered that scene with Lena's father, and then, yeah. What else is there in that? I guess they're expecting you to be curious like that, and as you're trying to fly, find a place to land your airship, triggering that. Again, unless maybe there is somebody that tells you. Like Dragon Quest II. And this one stands out in my memory because I've just been recently replaying the mobile phone version of Dragon Quest II on my phone. There's that cave west of Cannock Castle where the prince comes from. To the west of there's that cave where you get the silver key, a very crucial item. But the only person that tells you about that is miles away in the opposite direction. So, I know all about that because of how many times I've played that game. But on a first playthrough, how are you supposed to know that there's anything in that cave? I mean, you might not even go, since there's really nothing over there, you might not even go in that direction and even see that cave is there to begin with. Yeah. The one person that tells you about it is way out in the middle of nowhere in the complete opposite direction. Yeah. Again, I love these old games, don't get me wrong. But now all these decades later, I can see how cryptic. How in the hell are you supposed to know that on a first playthrough? Especially, nowadays you can just Google it, as kids say. But back then in 1988, 1989, 1990, yeah. Luckily, I had a lot more free time to work with back then. Anyways, I've been ranting on about that. Kind of ignoring the dialogue here. Key story moments of sorts. We gotta somehow improve the airship so we can fly higher in the air. And to do that, doing this because I think there's going to be a boss battle in this sequence. I think. Could be wrong, and if so, I'm doing this for no reason whatsoever, but hey, never hurts to be a little cautious. Paranoia, maybe? Fine. So I'm paranoid. So sue me. Again, can't remember if there's a boss battle here or not. Or maybe I'm thinking of later times when we come back here to this spot yet again later. Hey, it's one of those. Okay. Where's... Well, actually, never mind. I already spoiled that gig. It's not going to warp us anywhere. Yeah. I already ruined that gig by walking over it accidentally. But... Yeah. Reoccurring item in these games. I mean, in the first game, you found it on the second floor of the wind tower, or wind shrine, or floating castle, sky castle, whatever it was called in whatever version of the game you're playing. You needed it for that cave dwarf that it carved, that forged it into the Excalibur sword for you. Yeah, and I believe it was a similar situation in Final Fantasy IV or 2 here in the West. Yep, I thought so. I thought so. Okay, not doing much damage. That's with the two-handed double attack power applied to those Ashura swords that were like 20. Even with all that attack power, yeah. Damn, big deal. All right. So I wasn't paranoid there. Okay, good to know. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, as I was saying before being attacked by the boss there, yeah, adamantite or whatever, antiantium. Yeah. Reoccurring item in a lot of these early games. Kind of like the rat tail, or simply tail in the NES original of the first Final Fantasy game, that you needed to take to Bahamut to get honored, given the honor due true warriors, as the dialogue box read in the NES original of the first game. After doing so, Final Fantasy IV/2. I don't remember where you right offhand remember where you found the tail item, but yeah, I think you needed it to get the aforementioned. Yeah. Anyways, early Final Fantasy trivia aside, we got the item. So, oh, I hate trying there. All right, fine. We go up here or over here rather. Wow. What the heck? Superman. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Okay. What is it? What? You guys in your old books. Cannons. Oh, goody. This keeps getting better and better. Where did that come from? Oh, yeah, The Mummy, Brendan Fraser, 1999. Oh, yeah, cannons. Metallic enemies. Give them the jolt of their life, which won't be hard since we all four can use lightning 2 spells, you know. But keeping in mind this is an RPG and just our luck they throw some monkey wrench into that plan. Those cannons are somehow immune to that or some RNG. Alright, well before I do that, actually, if I can, no, I'm not going up yet. Alright. Alright, call this video early, as I do have other things to do today, unfortunately. So, we'll continue to the next dungeon, the floating city as they called it, next time. As always, thanks for watching and putting up with my commentary, and we'll see you next time. Bye.